My name's Michael. I'm 21. I've been a part of the service for 3 years. I was initially crash pad and then supported Lodgings, and now I'm an ex-service user, but stay in constant contact with Barnardos. My family, my biological family, were Muslim, and I knew I was gay since I was about 8, 9, and they'd been quite vehemently religious, and my mum was abusive. It wasn't even just a gay thing, like very much abusive, like economically, psychologically, physically, all of it. So I was acutely aware that I'd have to like leave my home one day. I just wasn't sure when it was like meant to happen. My dad on the 25th of July 2012 said that he just came up to me randomly in conversation and was like, "What is being gay? It's a disgusting disease." So I kind of like my cogs started turning, and I was aware that he knew I was gay. And then he started doing really strange things, like he cut off the internet, sold my phone, said I wasn't allowed to go to university, and so on and so forth. So I knew that he knew, because he'd never mentioned the word gay since I'd known him. So on the 27th of July 2012, it was like the London opening Olympic ceremony. That night I left home, I ran away, and I've been at risk of honour-based violence ever since. Basically, in my culture, if you dishonour them, they believe that you need to like die to be able to cleanse their family name. It's a word called "izit." And for the first week, really, I went from being homeless to staying at a friend's place to kind of bouncing back and forth and not sure where I was going to go. Finally, I went to the police and talked to them, and they put me through to Barnardo's. And it was really, really strange, but also really, really interesting. Like, I was incredibly sheltered. I didn't know anything. I was really, really quite naive and vulnerable. And they put me through to a woman locally. She took me in completely, and I was with her for 8 weeks before I went to university. And that's where I met Carol and Karen and Sharon. And these 3 women were very much so like the mothers that I wished I'd always had. They gave me space and love and compassion and care. And Carol and Karen at Barnardo's did so much to support me. They went from helping me with my first university grant to like making sure I was protected through all the avenues of even my bank, like home housing, stuff like that. And basically I had to change my name because I was in hiding, and they went through all the avenues that they needed to go through to protect me. And then for 8 weeks I stayed with Sharon, and it was the menial things that she did. Like, I had my first KFC at her place, I had my first taste of Poke, like I had bacon. I just experienced so much love and so much freedom. I could talk about whatever I wanted, I could do whatever I wanted. It was really, really scary. Like, I remember the first day I went there were 2 dogs there, and I'd never touched a dog before in my life. Like, in my culture, you're not allowed to. And I was so scared of these like 2 massive beasts. And within a week, they were like my best friends. Like, and now I don't know what I'd do without them. Like, I walk them every day, and I was able to develop myself as a person with a new alias, with a new life, with a new freedom, to do whatever I wanted and not be scared. Like, there were still moments where I was scared to walk on my street just because I wasn't that far away from my family. Like, I was so scared that someone would see me and pick me up, and God knows what they'd do to me. Like, I'd heard all the stories. And one of the scariest things actually was going to I was with the detectives at the Protecting Vulnerable People, and they had to take personal DNA in very like enclosed scars of my body. And apparently it was because Muslim families had previously acidized their sons' bodies, so the police couldn't find out who they were. So it was very like, it was a very real threat, and I was so scared of my life that I don't know, I didn't feel like a human being for a certain amount of time. And then with Barnardo's, they gave me such normality, like just such mundane reality, that I was able to kind of conceive of a world that wasn't kind of propelled by hatred or fear or like me being unnatural. And I was so aware that Barnardo's were a Catholic charity that they just didn't care that I was gay. They had not a care in the world. And it was amazing when I was talking to Sharon. Actually, she was like, we were willing to take you in regardless of your faith, your sexuality. We were ready to get you halal meat. We were ready to do whatever. And it was just, I'd never experienced that degree of kind of compassion before. And she was just wholeheartedly and completely committed to kind of helping me out. And even when she didn't have to, like even when I was at university, like she drove me to university, she drove me back for Christmas. Like I spent my first Christmas with her, had my first Christmas dinner with her. Like it was spectacular. And now I just feel like a normal person. Like it's really weird to think that I'd come from that world. Sharon is a single mother, and she had another boy with her at that time who wasn't her son. And it was incredibly nerve-wracking going into that environment. But the great thing with Sharon is that she studied psychology at Durham. Like she was acutely aware of human behaviour. So she was incredibly aware of what I needed and how I needed it. So she would remove me from social situations when I was getting down, or she would take me for a coffee, or she would take me to lunch. Like, and even being taken for lunch was such a big act of kindness to me. It was so strange just for this incredible blonde woman just to take me for a coffee one afternoon. And because she was aware of like psychological behaviour, she'd understand when I was incredibly vulnerable, or like when I first moved to her house and she'd reach for a cupboard and I'd flinch just because I was abused. Like she wouldn't make a big deal out of it. She wouldn't assume that it's a big thing, or she wouldn't show like that her face wouldn't change. She was just aware. She was very well prepared for my situation. And really, I'd been given the mother that I'd always wanted. Like I can't explain to you how much love I have for that woman. She saved my life, like definitely. I was in such a dark place, and she would just talk to me about it. And it was more so than just my culture or losing my siblings or losing everything that I'd known. It was also that I'd lost my identity. I changed my name. So everything that was attached to my previous name, my language abilities, my intelligence, everything, I kind of questioned completely. So having her ground me as this new person, free from all those constraints, allowed me to kind of flourish. And especially during my education, while I was at university, I was struggling so much. I had an amazing friendship group, but when everyone else went home for Easter, or when they wanted something and their parents were there, it became so difficult for me. But just having Sharon there, that I could just call and be like, yeah, can I come home for Christmas? And she'd be like, of course, come whenever you want. Like, you can even stay in my room if you want. Like, I'll stay on the sofa. Like, it was unparalleled. I'd never experienced anything like it. And she went way above and beyond the role of a service provider. She was a mother. She is a mother to me. Like, she is. Yeah, I call her Mumsy. Yeah. So, yeah.
AudioClicks. Be heard.